Hi, my name is Kayla Parika and this is my interview leadership project. So think back to your first day of college, maybe even your first week, your first month. It's an overwhelming clash of emotions. You're excited, you're nervous, you might be terrified of this new experience. But either way, you do it, you're ready, and it's one of the biggest transitions of your life, going from high school to college. And one of the most influential people in this short time is your resident assistant. My resident assistant as a freshman was extremely influential on my experience. She was extremely involved with our floor, made us go to events, made us hang out with each other, influenced the open door policy, and all things like that, which made me get to know everyone better and made me get involved more. And one of the most influential leaders and resident assistants I've met is Asa McCormick. Asa McCormick has been a resident assistant at Ball State for 3 years. He's a senior this year. It'll be his last year as a resident assistant. He's a resident assistant at Doherty. He's also involved in a lot of other leadership experiences on campus. He completed Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the Excellence in Leadership organization. He is a part of College Mentors for Kids and goes to that weekly and is very involved with his little buddy. So he's just a lot involved with these things on top of spending over 30 hours a week on his resident assistant duties, because you kind of have your set times that you're on duty, but most of the time you're in your hall, you're with your resident assistants or with your resident floor members, and you're involved with them, you're involved with their lives, and he's extremely good at it, goes above and beyond. He spends about 30 plus hours a week on these students. A resident assistant, by definition, is someone who just promotes academic and personal development for students in a diverse hall community. So what he does is he just gets involved with these students, he knows their lives, he helps them, he pushes them, and gets them into this transition from high school to college that a lot of people struggle with. And he's the first kind of person, first face that they know with Ball State. And I think it really helps these students, because me knowing him has really helped me in a lot of aspects of my life. He's a wonderful leader. I know many leaders on campus. I'm very involved with business organizations. I was in a sorority, things like that. And all of them embody these elements of the relational leadership model. The relational leadership model is a relational and ethical just kind of process of people together accomplishing positive change. So anyone who goes out and supports a positive change or is influential in a process is someone who probably has these characteristics. These elements are being purposeful, being inclusive, being empowering, being ethical, and being process-oriented. And I've met many people who embody these characteristics, but I believe Asa McCormick especially takes these to the next level and has really showed me how these should be enacted in our lives. So I'm going to start with giving some examples of how he is purposeful. Asa is very purposeful. He is purposeful in just how he approaches each day. There's never a time where I've texted him or called him and he's not doing something extremely productive. I'm not going to say that I am not this way. I like to get things done. But yeah, I like to go out and be with my friends and do fun things. And there's a lot of times where Asa, he's a fun person, he's an awesome person, but he doesn't have time to go to normal college things because he is approaching each day with a purpose. And I think this kind of shows with just like leading by example for his residents, because when they see him approaching each day doing things, that's how they think college is, that's how they know, and he's gonna give that kind of spirit, kind of attitude to them. And it definitely rubs off. It'll definitely make you feel lazy if you're talking to him and he's being so productive. So that's how he's purposeful in his life. Inclusive, I have a great example of this actually. So one of my best friends met her boyfriend through Asa, and he was actually one of his residents. And kind of in the first couple weeks, Asa noticed this guy kind of didn't have anything to do. He expressed that he was always bored, kind of things like that. And Asa was like, hey, I'm going to my friend's house, would you like to come? And this is kind of a big deal because he's a junior asking a freshman to come hang out. That doesn't happen often in college. And he's just like, hey, come hang out with me and my friends. Like, we'll show you a good time. He brings him over. 3 weeks later, he starts dating one of our best friends because of that enactment. So it just got him a lot involved, and meeting that person was awesome for all of us. And just Asa going above and beyond. He didn't have to do that. He doesn't have to be friends with his residents. It's not his job, but he did, and it worked out really well for the person and my best friend as well. A way that Asa is empowering. This is my favorite part of Asa because he's kind of brought a whole culture to his resident assistant job. He started it as a sophomore and kind of built on it, but he kind of made this like motivational speech. And I want to say it's like no Martin Luther King or anything speech, but it was awesome. He gave it to me in our interview. I felt like I needed to go conquer the world afterwards. It was awesome. He gives it to his students when he first meets them, tells them how they can take advantage of their time in college, and I think it really helps them. He requires them to go to, he can only do so much, but he asks them to go to 2 or 3 events in one of the first 2 weeks of school because there's all these club meetings, call-out meetings, things like that, and just so they can get involved. And he requires them to do so. He gives them that speech, and in turn it results in crazy amounts of participation among his floor members, and I think that's completely awesome, and that's what a leader does. They reach out to others, get them to become leaders. People see him, he leads by example. It's great for his resident assistants. He's also very process-oriented in this as he developed this process his sophomore year. He's built on it junior and senior year, requiring his students to do things, giving them speeches, helping them out. Things like that have just gone above and beyond how he's process-oriented and how he gets things done throughout. He doesn't just want to get the job done. It's easy to be a resident assistant, get the money, get the free dorm, all that kind of stuff, and not really interact to do the best, but he goes above and beyond. The last thing I want to share is how he's ethical, because he's one of the most ethical people I have ever met. So this is just a cool kind of story that he told me in our interview. So Asa, one day, one of his residents came up to him and had confidence in him to tell him that he had gone out the night before, stolen a bike, it was back at the dorm, he felt terrible about it, he didn't know what to do. Asa, being the ethical person he is, he knew he had to return the bike. He knew that he was going to help this person. So he took care of the bike situation for his hallmate. He took it back. But he also kept that information to himself because he's a very loyal person as well. And ethics is all about being loyal and doing the right thing and putting that together. And I just thought that was a cool story of how he is ethical. So I think the relational leadership model is very important in all leaders. And Asa is one of the prime examples of this kind of leader.